live, everybody. We are gonna get started. So welcome, everybody. Am I loud enough? Can everybody hear me okay? All right, good. Before we get started, if we could just do a round robin, everybody introduce yourself real quick so we know who we have on the line. Tell me your name and what school your scholar attends and where it's located. So Wayne, would you like to start first?
Yes, Bronx Middle School, Success Academy Bronx Middle School up in Longwood Avenue. My son is in the 7th grade. I'm also the PCEC president. We're doing pretty good so far. The school's doing pretty good with the at-home learning. Hopefully we're looking forward to going back sometime soon before the end of the year, just to get the kids out the house so we can get our lives back. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, good. Thank you, Wayne. Deborah?
Hi, everybody. My children attend Troy Prep. I have three. Well, first, let me start off and say they're under Uncommon. So I have 4 kids, Uncommon, Troy Prep, 3 in the elementary and 1 in the middle school. They don't technically have like a parent council or anything like that. I'm just always that parent, me and like maybe 2 other parents that seem to always do that job, even if we're not trying to do that job. So
Yes, you're one of our fierce parent advocates up in Troy. All right, John.
Hi, John Riley. I'm actually, let's see, my kids are 16 and 14. They're in a traditional public school, but I'm the board chair of and founder of the KIPP schools in Albany.
Okay, great. Yay, welcome.
Thanks.
Laverne, is that how you say it? Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said it right. Hi,
Okay.
I'm Laverne Bowman. My daughter goes to Success Academy Williamsburg, where I'm also the parent council president. And we love our school. We love Success.
Great, thank you. Nellie?
Oh, hi. I believe that we are presenting. I started the meeting because I was doing something else, but I didn't want to miss it today. I'm Nelly Soto. I'm the family coordinator of Mesa Chara High School, and I'm mother of a senior in college and a 2nd grade in a DOE school.
Okay, thank you. Sabrina?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina. I'm a parent of 2 Bronx 4 children who go to Success Academy. And what part did I miss? Sorry, I joined like 2
That's
seconds.
it. That was it.
Okay.
Just introduce yourself and tell us.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. So, now hold on. Shadasia, did I get it right?
You got it.
Ooh,
Hi, everybody. My name is Sadeja Wela. I'm a case manager for LLT Wasnug, but I have 4 little cousins that go to Troy Prep in Uncommon schools, and I have 2 nephews that go to KIPP in Nashville. So my family is like DOE and charter school. So I'm just here because I work with kids that go to both, and just to get knowledge and information to help them in the long run.
Thank you. I think that's everybody, right? I got everybody? Okay, Daniela, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Daniela Egorov. I am a parent of a DOE 2nd grader who is now at home, and I feel the pain of all of you guys who have kids at home. 2nd grade is hard at home. And I'm also the founding board chair of Brooklyn Rise, which is a K-5 school in Sunset Park. And I also work for the New York Charter School Association. Thank you so much for joining us.
And Sunset Park is in Brooklyn. And my name is Natasha Cherry Perez. I am the Senior Associate Director of Community Engagement for Uncommon Schools. And I'm also was a charter mom. My daughter went to an Uncommon School, Excellence Girls in Brooklyn from K to 8. And then she got into a specialized high school that focuses on architecture. So now she's a sophomore in high school. So I was a charter parent for 9 years, and now I'm a DOE parent, and I work for Uncommon Schools. And I am going to take you through this lovely training that we have today. And let me share my screen. It's um hold on, you guys see it. It is Advanced Advocacy. And what we're going to cover today is the legislative and budget cycle, anti-charter bills, how big is the charter community in New York State, and how to have good online meetings with your elected officials. And we're going to do a little role play. Okay, so at any time, guys, if you have questions, just unmute yourself, ask your question, and yeah, just pop right in if you have any questions. Okay, so legislative and budget cycle. And I guess, the goal of this is to walk away with a better understanding of, you know, what the legislative and budget cycle looks like. Um, get familiar with some things that some bills and things that are anti-charter that come across the table. And then also the most important part to me is like role playing, really getting your feet wet. It's nothing like practice to prepare to meet with elected officials, which is something that we all have done before or going to have to do, hopefully do in the future, especially in this virtual realm. So legislative and budget cycle. So um, this also, guys, applies to education, but it also applies to advocating for your community as well. So when you go in, try to think about both, so we're not so always maybe focused on education, but go in there about something that impacts your community too, to show that the versatility and just that you care just more about just charters, that you care about your community and you're involved with your community as well. So remember, if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. It is very important to be at the table and to be ready and prepared to have discussions. So, the timing of this, when you engage with electeds, so in January, you'll hear all of this stuff. Oh, the governor's coming out with his budget. He's going to come out with his budget. And he does so usually prior to Martin Luther King Day. He'll come out with his budget. Who knows when it'll be this year, but it's usually prior to MLK Day. He'll come out with his budget. He'll propose his budget, his $1 billion budget for New York State, right? And then in February, the state assembly and the state senators, they hold hearings and propose their budget. And then in March, well, once they propose their budgets, everybody's budgets are on the table. And then they start negotiating back and forth and back and forth from February all the way sometimes up to the very deadline. They like to get the budget in on time. Most of the time they don't go past April 1st, but by April 1st, the budget should be negotiated and they will come out with a final budget. And that's what we have to deal with as a state. And that's the monies that will get allocated for education, for healthcare, for social services, and those types of things, down to from the state to the city to us into our communities and our neighborhoods and our schools. So it's very, very important to talk with electeds during this time. And this is when everybody's heavily up in Albany usually. Now we'll probably be doing it in some type of virtual setting. And you're up there, what they call lobbying, right? And going up and you're visiting electeds, you're getting meetings set up, and you're talking to them about things that you care about that are in the budget. Because now it's like, okay, I saw that this is in the budget, and they want to either give us money or take away money, or in for education, for healthcare, for they're gonna do this for gun violence and crime and all of this stuff, right? So this is the time when you go and you talk to them because they're negotiating. Everybody's trying to get stuff in, out, shifted, move. This is the key time to talk to them. Not the only time, but a key time. So some of the anti-charter bills that have come up, in the past, really to limit our choice, right? And to really try to stop our schools from existing or growing. There are people out there that do not like charter schools for various reasons. And these are some of the bills that have come across as in the budget to try to really stop and stifle our schools. So some of them are like, hey, you can't go to a school that's not in your district. That's like one of the first things you see here, A463. Another one will require a local school board or community education council to approve a charter application before it can be submitted. Now, you know, if that happens, we'll never get any schools. Never, never, never. Um, then you have another one, 8029, that says you can't expand your grades. So if you open as an elementary school, you have to stay right there. You can't grow into a middle school and then grow to a high school from there. And then 9035 is say, oh, we're going to require you to have a land review process before you can open up charter school space. So all of this stuff is out there to stifle and to stop our schools from growing. Now I want to show you this lovely video, an Instagram post that Jabari Brisport, he just won the seat for senator in Brooklyn. And I just want you to see this. Pay attention to this video. We're going to talk about it after you watch it. So, what did you guys think about that video? Did you see it? It said, I imagine schools that are integrated, not charters, and fully funded. What do you guys think about that?
I personally feel some kind of way because I was rooting for the brother. But if he ain't with the charter schools, I'm trying to figure out what is he getting at with that? Because even if he's not saying that, it looks that way. That's how you're gonna read it.
It said not charters.
Yeah.
I imagine schools that are not charters. He just got elected, and guess how many schools? He has over 40 charter schools in his district in Brooklyn, and he's new.
That ain't good.
Coming with this type of video that you post on Instagram. Come on, man.
Hello, ladies. Can I say something?
Yes.
I've been one to go to Albany. I know a lot of the local senators and assemblymen here in the Bronx. One of the things that I'm disappointed in is that a lot of people are misinformed about what charters are and how they're funded. And something like this can also further that misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like fully funded, what does fully funded mean? Charter schools are not fully funded. You only get a percentage of what most schools get. And I think it's like 1/3 or something like that we get. So the funds that most charters have here are from private donations. A lot of the funding that do, especially Success Academy that I know about. So this is kind of, it's like an unfair advantage. They have a platform where they can put these things out there and people receive it as if it's fact. If you look at our education is up there with private schools. And you know, in our demographic, we're not going to get this type of education for free anywhere. Right. So it's the misinformation that particular Instagram is discerning, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So he gonna need some talking to. We have to get up in his office and talk to him. But like,
can I say something?
Yes, definitely.
So I've been working in a charter school for the last 8 years, and the support that the kids get is in every single way it makes a difference. It makes a difference for a kid that has IP program. It makes a difference for a kid that is just struggling or just doing well. So we are making the difference, and that's why a lot of people are against charter schools.
Mhm.
For example, for kids that are they are learning the English for the first time, they
Mhm.
struggle a lot, and charter are making the difference. Charter are the best support when it comes for IP students and for English learning for the first time. Kids
Mhm.
that just come from a different country, no matter what language they're speaking, it's very difficult for them to learn English, because English is in a way difficult because the way that you pronounce, the way that you write it,
Mhm. But
everything
guess
about
what,
English.
Nelly? Guess what, Nelly? What you are saying, so many people believe the opposite about charter schools. They believe that we don't take kids with special needs, that we don't take L students. So, that's why it's important. It's
Yeah.
so important for us to be educated ourselves,
Mhm.
know our schools, know about the schools, not only our schools, but other schools, other charter schools, know what's going on and be able to go in there and say, no, 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 sir. Let me tell you about this school. And why don't you come see the school yourself and
Yes.
see what we're talking about? Because I dare you have someone say, I don't support kids learning. I don't support kids growing. I don't support kids going to college. If you tell me you don't support that, then there's a bigger problem. There's a much bigger problem. So we got to really shift the conversation and shift people's thinking and really push people to say, tell me why you don't support kids learning. That doesn't make sense to me. That's what the school is for, is to learn. So we got to really not back down, and hold our ground respectfully. So, when it comes to to our children and their education. So, um, this is just an example of one person that's just new to office that we really, we have to get into him. We have to get to him.
I'm
Um,
glad he's in um, a district with a lot of charter schools,
mhm.
because he'll get that education hopefully from charter parents.
Oh, he
Um,
will.
the two other things about those talking points.
Yes.
One is, fully funded is basically a rationalization that says if you want to look at school performance, the reason you're not happy with schools is because they're not quote unquote fully funded. So that's one sort of hidden meaning there. And another thing with integrated, that's a shot at charter schools that are predominantly Black, or basically that many charter schools appear segregated. They're segregated by choice and by neighborhood and
Mhm.
by real estate practices. Um, and to equate that with segregation and to hold integration as the goal as opposed to quality of education, again, that's sort of a loaded word that will get used against charters, but that's what it means is, we need integrated schools, and that's not what a lot of charters look like.
I'd like to say make a
But
point to it.
that's not what the DOE looks like.
I would like to
But
make.
also,
Excuse me. Can I make a
I'm
point on what
sorry.
he just said?
Yeah.
One of the issues with the integration is just a talking point because
Right.
all of the schools that charter schools see, one of the issues we have with funding is because we're cross districts. Okay, so we can't get funding because they say one child can be in District 6, but he can go to District 5, and then he can go to District 7. So they have a board of the council board that dictates where the funds go. No one of us that are in charter school, we don't have a seat on that board because we go across districts. And so the integration, because I know people who come from upstate that have their kids down in charter schools in the Bronx, and they're from the Brooklyn come to the Bronx. So the integration part is just a talking point. Also with the funding too. We don't take money from DOE. If some charter schools are DOE regulated and some are not. If you're DOE regulated, we get a portion of what a DOE school gets fully funded. So we're not taking money, and you have to remember too, the kids that are in these districts live next to each other. So it's not like the funds is going outside of the educational system. You're still educating a child. You can have a kid that lives in the projects. Apartment B gets fully funded. Apartment C does not. The child is in your same area. So there shouldn't be a discrepancy of whether or not the child is funded or not, because the money is still going to a child for the taxpayer that's in that district. So it's just a misinformation campaign that people put out there to make people think that, oh, my child's in DOE. Oh, you're taking money out of my child's pocket.
No, the money should follow the child, number one. So where my child goes, that's where their money goes. And also find out how your charter schools operate, because some charter schools operate like Uncommon Schools, right? We operate on the public dollar. So we do receive private funding, but guess what? Our goal is to, once we're fully enrolled, our schools are fully enrolled, we don't want to use that private money. That private money is for if we just have a kindergarten class, but we got to have all the staff, to support that. So find out how your schools operate and share that information. And also know all schools, a lot of schools raise money and have private funding. So the PTAs on the Upper West Side do it, in Cobble Hill. And so they get private money, right? So what's wrong with that? Are you saying that our kids don't deserve private money and extra money to help them? So, it's how you take those things and spin them. And like you said, those are just like words and things they use to kind of throw you off and kind of just like pad the conversation instead of looking at the real issue, because integration is not the issue and funding is not the issue, because guess what? We do more with less. So let's keep it all the way real. We do more with less. So it's not about funding.
It's definitely like a technology. I'm glad that you showed that video, because that wasn't his platform, before he got elected in. He didn't talk negative about, at least I hadn't heard him speak negative about any charter schools. So the fact that now you're in the seat that people elected you to be in, and now you're switching up. And this is the reason why it's, you have to pay attention to who we're voting in and dare follow them through after they get elected, because a lot of times they will change up or they won't follow through what they promise people. So I appreciate you for showing that.
Yes. Okay, so now what does the charter school landscape look like in the state? So there are 326 charter schools in the state, serving more than 5% of our population. And more than 147,000 people have chosen charter schools for their children. So this is what it kind of looks like if you look at different districts. We have some of the highest charter school percentages in the country. So if you look at Albany, they're at 24%, Buffalo's 19, Rochester 16, New York is 12. So those are pretty high percentages for charter schools in the country, across the country. So how to have a good online meeting. All this to say, we're here. We have a strong presence in a percentage of kids that go to our schools, and children, parents have made that choice for their child, right? And now, as you can see, we're just this is just one elected official. There are many, many more that feel the same way for different reasons, right? So we have to meet with them. And so how to have a good meeting with an elected is, number one, I think, is to do your research, right? Know who you're meeting with. Know how many schools they have in their district, public, charter, know what's going on in that district. Find out what their platform is on charters. Sometimes you can just Google and look at like different articles and things they've said about charter schools. Also look at the different committees they're on. So go to their website, see what committees they're on. Are they in the education committee or are they in the finance committee? Find out what committees they're on. You can also click and look at bills that they've put up or pass, help to pass. So just take a little time and do a little research. And maybe you can assign someone, say if you have a group of people that are meeting with a certain elected, have someone assign someone to do the research on that person and make sure you include a picture. And so when you come back together and meet as a group, you share that information. You share the certain person's picture, you share all of the background information on them, or get someone to like summarize it and put links into articles so that you can just do your research before you meet with the person. And then also you want to assign roles to in a meeting. You have a group of people that are meeting. Sometimes it could be people from the same school, or say it could be us, right? We could all get together and have a meeting with someone from, from anywhere. So you need to make sure you have a leader. Your leader like kind of kicks off the meeting and they kind of spearhead the meeting. You have a timekeeper, someone keeps track of the time and that goes, hey, oh, we're running out of time. We want to make sure we get to, this, that, and the other. So they keep track of the time. You have someone that takes notes. And even virtually, guys, you can still take that picture. So taking a picture. So make sure everybody has a role, and then also make sure you have your agenda together and you meet with the group with the group prior to the meeting, and you go over your agenda and you say, okay, so this person doesn't like charter schools. So our goal for this meeting is to, what's your goal in that meeting with that person that likes charter schools versus the person that doesn't like charter schools versus the person that's on the fence. You'll approach the meeting and you'll have different goals based on who you're meeting with. So make sure you're clear on your goals, clear on your roles, and you did your research. Make sure that you log on 5 minutes prior to the meeting, 5 to 10 minutes, and also assign additional host or co-host to the meeting. So say if I get disconnected, the co-host or the next host will just take over and the meeting will be able to continue to go. Um, After the meeting, make sure everyone sends out a thank you email or a handwritten note to say thank you and follow up on any questions that were not answered, or any action items. Make sure you do that. And then also, say if sometimes they'll set up the meeting, so make sure you have a list of everyone that's attending the meeting, like who they are, where they're from, because a lot of times people want to make sure they're either meeting with a parent that has a child in their district that goes to school in their district, or you're their constituent, you live in their district. Um, and then also, some things to remember in a virtual setting. Make sure your background is right. Make sure your facial expressions, you can read a lot from it, from people's like facial expressions, and sometimes you don't notice it, so much so, but make sure you're focusing in on a meeting and you're not like doing things on like looking over here, looking over there, all over the place. So just make sure you're giving that person your undivided attention in the meeting. Make sure to mute yourself so you don't, say things and get caught, off guard. And also remember, it's really hard sometimes to keep the balance of voices. So try to make sure there's always one voice. Um, and really just relax, enjoy the meeting, and try to make it a connection with that person somehow, some way. Like connect with them, because that connection is more, I think, important than anything you might say to them. They'll connect with you like, oh, you live around da 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 da. You live on the corner. Oh, that's cool. Like find some way to connect, or someone in the meeting that just can connect with them some way. Those connections are so important, and invite them to your school virtually, when we get back in the physical realm physically, but make sure they have an opportunity to also come to your school and be a part of it and experience your school in whatever shape or form you would like them to experience it. Um, are there any questions that anyone has about ways to go about having a good virtual meeting. Has anyone had any virtual meetings? Yes.
I, I haven't had any virtual meetings, but I will say this: we've been very successful. Success Academy has been very successful with communicating with. Like, I have friends now. Marcus Crespo is one of them. Louis Bavada, he's a good one. Like, we were able to humanize our approach with identifying that they had kids, whether or not they had kids that were in the charter school system. Another thing too is not to be negative. We don't want to bash DOE. We just want to make specific points that there's a bias there, but we don't necessarily push it to the point where they're being accusative of charter schools, because you don't know that person's political association. So they may be, and also another thing too, that's another thing. So my son has an IEP. So one of the things that I was able to get across to them, and that was big a few years ago, where they were saying charter schools weren't addressing IEPs, is that I brought them into the ground level where my son first got in. He had his occupational therapy, his speech, his OT, and let them know that the charter school system worked with me to build a program for a successful child. My child's an A student, pretty much. He still has his challenges, but the school was able to conform and work with me to make him a better student, to blend in. It's not like a 12 to 1 or district 75 or 20, whatever.
Right.
It's you don't even know that it's a specialized class. They blend right in. So those points was something that I was able to transfer over to the politicians and the assemblymen, that this is why it was so successful, and not to bash, what was going on with
so definitely not bashing, right? Not being negative and not arguing with them either, because there have been times when you kind of gonna have to just like let it ride and just let them say what they have to say, but then also don't feel like our kids are not worth what the education they're receiving. Our kids are worth it, but guess what? Everybody else's kids are too. We want everybody to get what our kids are getting. We want that for everybody. So guess what, politician? It's your job to figure out how to make sure everybody gets funded equally. That's what we're here to talk to you about. Oh, we get it. We understand. We with you. We understand that. How can you help us make sure that happens for everybody? Because we want everybody to have that. So just lean into the things they're saying and try to flip it on them. Just really take their negative and turn it into a positive. Um, so that's something important to do. Definitely don't be negative. Don't bash the DOE. Don't say you're better than the DOE and all of this stuff and the da 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 da. It's important to stay um as positive as possible and try to really spin that negative stuff into something that's positive.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, to Mr. Wayne, actually. Is the program that you started, or just the conversation that you had with elected officials to get that smaller, like that, I don't want to call it specialized classroom or anything like that, but had that conversation, is that something that has been, like, is that transferable within success? Like, is that something that the conversation, or maybe that has been escalated somewhere else into success, that these things could continue since it works well with your son?
It has been. A lot of the things that I've been with Success since my son's been here since kindergarten. He's in 7th grade. At that time, if you remember in the media, there was a lot of questions about kids being kicked out of charter schools because of they didn't have the right resources. And I'm gonna make this quick because I don't want to take over the meeting. But in the very beginning, a lot of them did not tell you that the reason why they didn't have specialized classes because they didn't have enough kids for the classes. DOE will not give up the funds to finance a speech person to come in if they don't have a specific percentage of students allocated. So Success wasn't denying your child. They just didn't have enough children in the school to be awarded funds to support your child. So it got of course, spent around that, oh, they're denying your child services, they're doing this and that. And this is all charter schools. You know, it's not just Success. What I found out that Success was DOE regulated, and I didn't have to pull my child out, because a lot of times they don't give you options because they don't have options. But I found out you can't deny me. Mm-hmm. I'm a DOE. You cannot deny me.
Yep, no so, child left behind.
Guess what? Mm-hmm. They wound up getting the resources. Yep. They wound up getting the resources to support my child. Then once that model applied in that particular school, Bronx 2, other kids benefited because I fought. You know what I'm saying? I was coming home crying, you know, because we were so frustrated because I knew this is where I needed my child. The discipline. Our children, you know, our children in the Bronx and Brooklyn, our kids don't have no discipline. We already know that. They be climbing on the back of the sofa doing what they want. The structure that the charter school system provided for my child, I knew this is where I needed him with his challenges. So that's what I fought for. So it has been implemented across, I know, Success Academy, some of the things that I had to fight for. I'm talking about picking up my child up every day. I'm talking about I had to go in, I would drop him off at 7:30. I was back up at the school at 9 o'clock every day for like 6 months till it got to 12 o'clock, till it was the whole day. But I fought for it. So
okay,
it has been implemented.
I asked that only because as a fellow Success parent, these are things like you said we don't hear, and some things that we need to share as success stories throughout, right? So you doing that for your child in your school may have not trickled over to Bronx 4, right? If yes. I'm not on this meeting right now, I wouldn't know. Same with other people who are on this call from Success, we may not know. So I think we also need a platform of successes and wins within the charter school system, such as a platform you just described, because that's something that we can lean on to kind of escalate our advocacy within our own networks, as well as going forward within charter, you know, in general, right? Maybe that's something that another school could adopt in Troy or somewhere in Buffalo. And again, sorry, Natasha, not to take away. I'm just using this to levy like how we can collaborate more, because that's a lot of things that I always say, and Daniela could talk to it. The conversation is more so this school, that school, instead of saying charters, instead of saying, you know, not Success, not this school, not that school, but charter schools. Like, look at the win that we just had here. Look at the win that we just had here. And just having that collaborative conversation will get these elected officials, because they still all come from, like you said, NYC. We still share the same building and the same floor and the same buildings, that we just need to have more conversation around the wins. I guess to escalate this more. So I'm sorry. It's okay.
So also, I think then you guys brought up a good point. So also not only researching the person you're meeting with, research your school and your school numbers. So come back, know how many kids in your schools have IEPs, how many L children you have, how many kids are qualified for free and reduced price lunch. So everybody that's in that meeting, come with those stats for your school, so that when you're in the meeting, when they say, oh, you guys don't do oh, you guys don't do community service, you don't work in the community. No. We just gave turkeys out. We just did this. We just did that. And we do service kids with IEPs and L learners. Look, I have a parent right here that has a child with an IEP, and they go to Success. Could you please tell them, you know, your experience? So when you come together as a group, make sure you have the research on your schools as well done, and you have the numbers for your school, so you know what you're doing. And then when they come and they start talking that stuff, you can hit them with the nope, look at this, look at that. And you just keep hitting them in the head, busting those myths, so they understand that we are schools that are out here doing good work, you know, with the children and inside in our communities as well. So,
Natasha, I'm not going to interrupt you no more. I'm going to show you this. You see this? If you see this paper, these are stats for my school. Mm-hmm. So when we go in front of a politician, and I don't want to hold up. I don't want to hold up stats. We have our stats for we have our stats for everything that goes on. How many kids is in, even from the ELA numbers for the month, for the quarter, from the math, science, STEM. We have all that information. So their talking points, when they try to tell you XYZ, you can counter that with physical stats that are actually, you can actually go back and verify. So I'm keeping quiet for the rest of the time.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But like you said, come with your staff and come with your information for your school so you can refute that. Because it's some things are just in plain black and white. You know, numbers are numbers. They're gonna come to you with numbers. You come to them with your facts and your numbers too, right? So when you do go into anything else, guys, because you guys have a lot of good things to add to meetings. Anything else that we
I
think
just
we
want,
should
I wanted
add?
to I wanted to say to Sabrina that so the stats is great, right? So that because it shows the data that the school is providing, but elected officials need to hear the raw truth and they need to hear your story. And Wayne hit it right on the nose. Like, it's not even about just success or uncommon. It's about your experience with your child at your, at your particular school. My son, I have the same, the same similar story as far as my son has an IEP. The Head Start was pushing me to put him in the district school that's closest to us. But I just didn't feel like it was the most comfortable place for him. I felt like the same thing like Wayne said about the structure. He needed that structure. So I would say that Sabrina, like if you're personally experiencing anything, I would start with my school first and definitely get some kind of foundation, because I was going up to my son's school every day on my lunch break at work for an hour just so that he can get refocused, because he needed that reminder from me so that he can go there and do what he needs to do. And it was helpful. It got I got to learn the school. I got to know because I was a new parent there. I got to learn the school. I got to know the teachers and stuff. And we had a relationship in the sense that we can call each other by first name because I was up there so much. But it helped when I'm talking to elected officials, because I can share, yeah, my school, we're top on this as far as math and ELA. But let me tell you something. My child has an IEP and he's meeting those same markers just like the child who doesn't have an IEP, who you consider as to be the child that has a better chance or whatever the case may be. So it's good to come with them with like a realistic story and like your story, your story, what you're experiencing. I just wanted to tell you that because it's hard sometimes when you have a child with IEP for people to understand like where you're coming from, because you're fighting so hard against a system that is set up to go against your child. So it's like you got to kind of keep pushing and not have like, don't get discouraged.
Right. Thank you. I personally don't, but I'm for those parents who may, because there's a lot of parents who sit in the background who are not as active as you and Mr. Wayne, right? There's some parents who don't know that they can take the step up and have these conversations, or take the step up to say, here's my voice, right? And so I'm not one to, I don't like, of course, if I have anything to say, I definitely will say it. But in terms of for those who may not be able to leverage their voices, I kind of want to help that conversation be in the forefront as well. So I'm like the parent who leverages those who think they don't have that voice to make sure that they are like front and center for the conversations that need to happen and need to go on, because we'll get lost in our stats. We'll get lost in, like you said, just having a conversation around us. But I mean, there's what, 11 of us here, and how many people are in success? Over 20,000 families. Like, the conversation is broader than this. It's broader than the 9 of us. It's broader than all of this. So for me, I appreciate you telling me this. And that's exactly what I want to rev up, right? And then within the network, there's many different schools. So am I saying one thing just to benefit my school, or am I saying one thing just to benefit my network? Or am I saying one thing to benefit charters altogether? And that's the kind of collaboration I'm looking for, to make sure that whoever's stories need to happen and need to stay within the same district happen. So I really do appreciate you, Deborah, for saying that. I'm just trying to levy all the voices.
So that's why it's important to meet with your group before you have the meeting, so you can figure out, who has what, who has maybe a relationship or connection to the elected. Look at the research, look at your stats, and look at your stories, and figure out like who's going to say what and share what, so that you can reach the goal of whatever that goal for that meeting is. Make sure you relay the information. So in group meetings, you go into the meeting, and of course you introduce yourself, like we did the round robin, like what, your name, how many kids you have, your kids, talk about your kids, and what school they go to. And then it's important for you to have a brief story, like why your school matters, why you pick that school for your child, and also like practice that on your own. Take you might have just 90 seconds to share it real quick. So come up with your 90-second, boom, give me 2-3 sentences why you love your kid's school, because you got to get around to everybody, right, and have everybody have a chance to quickly say. And then you go into like, make your acts. Can we count on your support? Or like, where do you stand on XYZ? And then give them an opportunity to discuss their views, and you go back and forth. You also invite them to your school. You also ask them what they're working on outside of education. So what are some of the things that you're working on? Talk about your community. you know i I have a horrible hospital in my community. We have shelters that are still struggling to get Wi-Fi for their kids in my community. What are you going to do about these things, because they're important? So everything doesn't have to tie to education, but if there's something that is in your community that's plaguing your community, it's their responsibility to get the money and the resources and get bills and legislation passed to help your community. That's their job. And so think about the things that are plaguing and that are issues in your community too, because that's their responsibility. That all falls under their watch, and that's their job. So make sure to ask them, what are you working on? What are your legislative priorities? Because everybody, right, can't work on everything. So they'll have priorities that are important to them. And then sometimes you could connect to them on some of that stuff. It's like, oh, you having a march on crime or something going. Oh, we care. We have the crime issue and that now. Let's get together. Let's work on that. We can have some. There are things that you can connect on that are outside of education as well. Because sometimes you're not going to meet on education. You might not have the same priorities, but you have some priorities on some other things. You share the same values on some other things, and they'll be like, oh wow, all of these charter parents keep coming, and they keep coming to this and that. Oh, okay, they not playing, they involved, they care about their community. And you'll work your way into them, and they'll think about Deborah and her crew, that comes through when we need to do some stuff on in Troy about XYZ. Oh, I could call Deborah. Deborah come through and help. And so that's how you get that connection, because then they'll know Deborah and Deborah's kids, and Deborah cares about her community. Oh, and her kids go to this charter school over here. And see, sometimes you have to work your way in that way too. So don't forget to always bring it full circle, and kind of not only talk about education but other things too. So let's see. I think we have a lot of pros here that know feel comfortable, talking and having conversations with electeds. And I think that you guys will be, you know, really good at it. But I think it's important too to also practice and put yourself in that scenario. So you'll have people, right? They're either going to say yes, we support you. They said no, we don't support you. Or they'll say, I don't really know. I'm new in office and I just got here, so I'm still trying to figure it out. I really don't know yet, right? So you got to be able to tackle all three of those different types of people when you go into a meeting. And also something that's top of mind for everyone is how we responded to COVID. So what did your school do that was exceptional in dealing with COVID? Did all your kids get computers? Did all your kids, were they able to get you guys Wi-Fi? What kind of social emotional services did you give to help your families and your kids that were going through that, lost family members, lost jobs, didn't have money, food, shelter? How did we bounce back, and how are we supporting our families during COVID in our schools? Some people will take that though and try to throw it in your face. But if all of our kids have devices and we're working well, and they say, well, see, that's because y'all have that private money. But you say, no, no, no. We didn't wait on the iPads that the DOE was giving out. Or guess what? We didn't know if we had access to that. So guess what? We had some old Chromebooks, and we just took those Chromebooks and repurposed those Chromebooks. We have to figure out how to operate and move on our own because we didn't wait for the iPads that everyone else was waiting on. Because we're a charter and we could do things a little different, we could go out and don't have to get the iPads. We can get something else, Chromebooks or whatever else we needed, So, and what's wrong with that? We want all kids to have laptops. Everybody deserves to have a laptop. So what are we going to do? What can we do to help? Because we feel like all kids by now should have a device. It's ridiculous. What are you going to do about that, Senator? Because guess what? That's not our job. That's their job. And don't feel bad because your child is in the school that has laptops.
One of the talking points with the technology is that most of the charter schools, they have a IT infrastructure. Most DOE schools do not have an IT infrastructure, or it's very old infrastructure. So when COVID hit, we were up and running within a week because we already had a IT solution for remote access that was already in the school system. So that's one of the talking points. So the funding that they're talking about, and we had a lot of funds donated. We just replaced our IT. Oh, I forgot his name, but we just replaced him. The first thing he did was take all of the old laptops from the past year and replace all new ones. And this is even before we knew we were coming back in September. So those things, those foresights to implement in the new world were already done in a lot of the charter schools that are pre-existing.
And guess what? That's how people should be thinking. They should be thinking like the schools that have more money, right? You should be thinking, how am I going to get a laptop or a device to every kid? I want every kid in my school to have a device. And you know what? If we don't have the money, guess what? We're going to raise the money or we're going to write a grant to get the money. So you got to have people that are thinking like that, and you need to ask the elected. So why don't you ask the principals what they're doing so that they can make sure that this doesn't happen to them anymore? What are you doing about the shelters that don't have the Wi-Fi yet? And the mayor said he was going to put the Wi-Fi in. What can you tell me what the solution is to that? Because that's not right. So we have to be ready to put it back on them because that's their job, not our job. We picked the school that we wanted our kid to go to that had the stuff that our kid needed. That was free. Right? So we did our job. They need to do their job. So now we get into role playing. Let's do a little bit of role playing, right? So we have let's do a supportive role playing. It's easy to be in a supportive meeting, right? But then when you get in a supportive meeting, you got to push the envelope a little bit more. So Daniela, you want to role play with me? You want to be the elected official?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm gonna kick us off, right? We're gonna go to this meeting with a supportive elected official. So hi, Senator Daniela, how are you today? We thank you for taking this meeting with us. We just wanted to come to you and tell you about our schools. We're so excited about our schools and how well our children are doing despite COVID. And we want to just introduce ourselves and, share a little bit of information about our schools and then, just talk to you about, how we can keep on building and keep on getting better and working together so that all of our schools have all the things that they need. So then everybody, right, would go around and say, hey, I'm Natasha, have a kid in da school, I'm your constituent, or my school's in your district. So we go around and then go, so how do you feel about so Wayne, why don't you ask the elected how they feel about charter schools?
Oh, how I would ask the elective?
Yeah, so ask the elected.
Oh, wrong person. Well, since you asked me. One of the things one of the things that I do when I'm in a meeting, I'm usually I'm usually the anchor person after everyone's sitting in. Like, this has to do with what you said earlier. Everybody know their role when they walk in the room.
Mhm.
I'm
Right.
usually the anchor person in the room. So after I've sat there and heard the politicians speak, I have more of an insight of what they're looking for. Like, not really what they're looking for, but who this person is. I
Right.
try to read the person to find out what their objectives are, what are they leaning towards. And so one of the first questions I usually ask the politician is, like, sir, excuse,
Well, we got Daniela,
oh
Senator
yeah,
Daniela.
hi Daniela, how are you? Daniela, what is one of your concerns about charter schools? That's a question I would normally ask.
Okay. There we go.
And so that whatever they answer.
Okay, so let her answer. What are your concerns?
Daniela, what is one of your concerns about charter schools?
Thank you so much for coming to my office. It's a pleasure to meet with you all. I'm a big supporter of public education, and I'm also a supporter of charter schools. You know, I am very supportive, but my colleagues still have many concerns about charter schools not accepting all types of children, kicking some kids out, you know, the cherry picking that goes on. They have some concerns about that. They also have many concerns about the segregation of charter schools, right? How they are creating schools maybe just for children of minorities. So, you know, I'm very supportive, but unfortunately, yes, there are many of my colleagues that still have many concerns about charter schools.
So then Deborah, right? Deborah or Wayne, right? Or somebody will follow up with that and say, well, you know what? We have kids that have IEPs and we serve. So then you hit them with, this is what we serve. And we can leave you with this information about
Natasha,
our schools.
Natasha,
Right?
I have an answer.
Okay.
Daniela, I meant to inform you, cherry picking is not a part of our policy. Cherry picking, we actually have a lottery that most people sign up for. So everyone goes online, they put their name inside what school they want in what district, and during the course of the year, they actually pull out a name, and based off where you are, you're picked. There's nobody sitting there picking out your child saying, we want this person, we want that person. And how would we know whether or not it's a smart kid or a kid who has IEP? That's not something that's available to charter schools to be able to distinguish whether or not a child has an IEP or not. It's a lottery. Most charter schools run on a lottery basis. As for segregation, most people in our community apply for the charter schools. So it's not segregated, it just happens to be in a specific location. We have every nationality from Albanian, Italian, Black, green, purple, they're there in our school. So segregation, as in, if you go to Williamsbridge, for instance, or you go down to some of the other areas, you have predominantly white kids that are in that area. It just happens to be location driven where you apply for. So as for segregation, can you tell me of an instance where something segregated, or you can specifically tell me where a child's been cherry picked? I've been through this before.
I love it. That was perfect. That's exactly what we hear all the time. That's exactly the response we give.
You're on mute, Natasha.
So you give it back to them. You give them the data, you give them the facts. And then since she's supportive, right? What should we be asking her to do? Take this back to your colleagues and let them know, what we're doing over here, or who is that? We need to meet with those people. Tell us who those people are, because we want to meet with them. We want to get them in our schools. Tell us who we should be meeting with. When you have an ally, you get information from them. So now it's like, Daniela, give me all the information. What are people talking about us? What are people saying? Right? Tell me what people are saying. Tell me who we need to talk to. Tell me if you know any bills that are coming out that we should be concerned about. This is where you get the goodies. This is where you get, if somebody's on your side, you just don't go, oh, I'm glad you like our schools. All right, have a nice day. Nope. You go, okay, tell me the info. Give me the scoop. I want the tea. So we got to get the tea from a Senator Daniela, because Senator Daniela likes us. So get the tea, give her arm her with everything she needs to fight for us. Because what a lot of times she says, all of this stuff of people telling me, you got to give me some proof that this is not happening so I could go back and fight for you guys.
Yeah, I got another one for you
Uh-huh.
on Daniela. Daniela, please take my card. If there's any questions or information you need from us, and we'll give you a folder. Where is it? We'll give them a folder. We'll give them a folder with our contact information in it. Please take this folder. Our information is in it. If you have any questions about or any concerns, please contact our so whoever is in charge of that, and we'll get back to you on it. Any concerns? Thank you very much.
And you make that connection so Daniela knows if I hear something about success, I'm calling Wayne. Because Wayne is gonna be that person that's gonna get back to me and let me know. Or if I hear something about uncommon interest, I'm calling Deborah because Deborah's my person, right? So make sure you make those people your allies. So if you go into a meeting with someone that's neutral, how they're on the fence, Daniela, give me your neutral. Tell me what's going on. How do you feel about us?
Yes, so I was just elected, I'm really trying to catch up on all issues. I'm a big supporter of public education, and I know that some families are choosing charters. I also know that there are some problems, I have heard some criticism. But I'm still trying to learn, and I'm definitely going to be a very big supporter of public education for sure. But I'm still trying to learn what are the roles of charters, some of them are growing too fast, right? So there are places now, there are too many charters. And so I think we need to go back and invest on our public schools and make sure that we're integrating and fully funding and not taking away funding from the district. But I'm still trying to learn.
So then somebody that she's just in, what do we got to do with her? We got to get her to do what?
See about our schools, invite her to learn more about what charters or our particular school has to offer, some of the
Yep.
things that we do, some how we maintained and sustained with the budget that we've been given. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Understand what else is going on in our community regarding this and how we've leveraged community resources and support um, within our charter schools as well. But I think also she might, if we know of the constituents that, I mean, sorry, not the constituents, the the elected officials that aren't on the fence and are supportive, then we should ask that, not ask her to oh, go talk with them, but more so oh yes, and we're supported through your colleague, this person, they know a lot about us. They've come here, and just
Mm-hmm.
to show the connection of, because they're new, this can be somebody that they can also leverage for conversation and support within getting to know charters as well.
That's good, Sabrina. That is excellent. What else? Anybody else have some suggestions for a neutral person? What would you tell a neutral person? You invite them to your schools, you hook them
I
up.
will bring my parents and students.
Mm-hmm.
I can say a lot of things about school where my kids is. I can say all the good things, but
Mm-hmm.
who will better represent and talk about much better than me, than a parent and student of the school?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Definitely. Let them talk to not only staff, but like Nelly said, talk to those parents. And sometimes, like I said, people bring their kids. Come here, Johnny. Come talk to Senator Daniela. Tell her about your school, how much you love your school. What did you learn today? And just create that connection. Because now I know, oh, little Johnny goes to the school down the street around the corner from me. Little Johnny's learning, da, 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 you know? So make that connection and humanize it. And it's good to show numbers and stats, but like we said before, humanize it. Let them see your baby's face. Let them see mommy's face. Well, I'm your constituent. Oh, I see. Oh, where do you? I go to the same gym that you go to, or we go to the same supermarket around the corner. We go to the same church. You know, get that human touch and that human connection Make those connections, any connection that you can, and research, find out where they went to school, find out where they go to church, because guess what? I bet you know somebody that went to that school, that church, that PS9. Oh, you went to PS9? I went to PS9 too. Or my mama went to, make the sororities, fraternities, make that connection. Because that's what takes the defenses down, break down their defenses, humanize it. So all those little tidbits of information, connect those dots for them. Because believe me, if they walking down the street and they had a meeting with you, they're going to remember you. They might not remember your name, but they'll remember your face. And they'll be like, Wayne, 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 Wayne. I know you, Wayne. Well, I guess you do. We just had a meeting a month ago. Remember, I'm Success Dad. I live here. I live right around the corner from you. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. How you doing? And then there you go. There's your connection. And they know every time they see you, that's a success parent. You know, they can't front on you now because they know you and you have that connection. When they do something that hurts you, hurts success, they do something that hurts Wayne and Johnny, and they know that. So now they got to deal with that. When they see you coming down the street and they didn't vote for something that impacts you, they have to answer to you now. So that humanizes it a lot, and it ties it to a person and not a policy, right? So what do you do when you with that nasty, nasty somebody that don't like charter schools at all? I don't like charter schools. They taking the money from district students. They're privatizing education. Oh, Daniela, hit me with your negativity. Senator Daniela, be nasty. Hit me with the negative.
So I am a very big proponent of public education, but I cannot support the privatization of public schools, right? You all go to charters that are not publicly funded, that don't have any accountability, are segregating, cherry picking kids. And on top of that, abusing of the staff, right? They don't have union protections. And I cannot support the privatization of our public schools. You all might be very happy, but then what about all the other children that are at the district without the funds that all the schools took away from our district? So I'm always going to be supportive of districts and of integrated schools and schools that are not just, creaming for the tests and just making kids memorize things for the test, are actually providing a fully rounded education. And really, I really encourage you to think about what is overall for our society, all children, and not take the funds away from our district schools.
Mm.
You want me to talk?
Deborah, Nelly.
Do you want me
Who
to
else?
talk?
Who is Shadeja? Sadeja. Diamond, you're new. Laverne, what would you say? And remember, right? We have a right as a parent, and our children have a right to go to a school that's going to give them what they need. And as a parent, we have every right to send our child to that school. And we want every child to have that opportunity. So now they telling you all of this stuff about your baby in their school. What you gonna say? What would you say to somebody that said something like that? To just hit you with all of that boom, 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 boom. Laverne, what would you say to somebody like that? You're muted, Laverne.
There you go. I would explain my experience. I've had a wonderful experience while at Success Academy Williamsburg. My child has excelled in her reading and math. Since she started, she's loved it. She's in chess. She's grown so much since we started, and I'm willing to put my second child in Success in the next year. I haven't, unfortunately, had the opportunity of having somebody who's been nasty. So this is the first for me. but I would definitely tell them how great my experience has been thus far. And I'd hope they reconsidered their opinion on charter schools.
Mm-hmm. And why wouldn't they support schools that where kids are reading above level, where kids are going to college, or at least on level, on grade level? Like, and you say we don't have, they're not well rounded. They have chess. They have all of these things that are making them well rounded people. Why wouldn't you support a school that's doing well? And my money, and I chose this school for my child because guess what? The district schools would not give them the things that they need. So I want my child right here, and my money should follow wherever I decide to send my child. So you telling me that you don't support my child and my child's school and all the great things my child is learning at that school?
I
I've
support
actually, I've actually,
their school, but the problem is that they are cherry picking students, right? There are all the other kids in your neighborhood who have IPs, who are English language learners, who are not being served by your school. So that is the problem. Maybe you had a good experience, but there are many others who have not had the same experience.
And I would say to that one, in the Success Academy Williamsburg, we have a huge Hispanic population who dominate the neighborhood. And unfortunately, it's not a cherry pick. It's actually who's represented by the community. We have kids of all races, colors, and creeds in our school. And we don't have a demographic that's only one particular culture. We have a very diverse culture over at our school. So I can actually say that because I'm in Williamsburg, and a lot of the other schools don't look like mine. So,
And adding to that, we do not care where you're coming from.
Exactly.
You are just a student that have all the same rights. So we make it sure that you have all your rights. You have the right to be educated. So we have all you want, the support that you need for you to be successful.
This is what I would say. Senora Danielle, I'm very sorry you feel that way. So I've been there. Trust me. I've had some long story, but I say, Senora Danielle, I apologize you feel that way, but I'm not here to debate whether or not it's a DOE or charter school. I'm here to see the success of education in our children. And right now, my child with an IEP, under the circumstances and the challenges that we go through, he's succeeding in the environment that he's in. Now, I don't know what experiences that you may have had or you've heard about, but I can personally tell you from here, I can show you report cards. I can put you on People Path and let you see what my child has done from the day he started Success Academy till now, how progressive he's been. We won a lottery and we weren't cherry picked. There was challenges with his IEP.
What about the lottery? What's the lottery, Wayne?
Well, the lottery,
being a lottery.
Every year there's a certain time when you can apply for charter schools. You go online, you fill out all the information, and then they go down and they choose students. How the mechanics of it works, I'm not 100% sure, but as for I understand,
random, right? It's
random, completely random.
It's random, so it can't be cherry picked, right? So it's a random selection, and you got to be in the lottery, right, to win it, right? You got to be in it to win it. So it's a lottery. And guess why we have to have a lottery? Because we have more people that want the seats than we have seats available.
100,000 actually.
Right. So we have to have a lottery because guess what? More parents would like access to our schools because our schools are doing well. Right. So again,
and there's a cap in New York City.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You said something earlier about the amount of, hold on. The cap is, I didn't know that we were allowed 326 because we were capped at like 225 about a year ago.
Yeah. So 326 is state. That's across the whole state.
Oh, okay.
So over the whole state was only like 225, 250 about a year ago. So I didn't even realize that they even did that. Because you said 326, I was shocked.
That's the latest number, and there's still, I believe 96 charters available across the state. I'm gonna put a link here for a document from the state department.
I think 96 more charters can open up in the state, but the city has 0.
So we're at our cap.
Yeah, we met it 2 years ago. So we can't open any more The only way that we've been able to open them is because the ones that was zombies, they said, that had closed, they let us open. I think it was like 7 zombies, so they let us get those. So the people that applied, they gave those zombie applications to those.
Yeah,
So
we reallocated. We closed down
more.
Yeah, we closed down 3 of our locations last year.
Mm-hmm.
So they came over to Bronx Middle School. Like we are now the primary Bronx Middle School. We had like 3 different middle schools, so we wound up closing those in the Bronx, and now it's just only 1 middle school. So I guess the slots everywhere were reallocated. Oh, so the cap is still there. All right,
Yeah,
that's
the cap is there.
That is a key conversation, because that's what you really do need. When you talk to the politicians, you have to tell them about the cap, and the waiting list is growing, but there's no more new seats opening. And so by that cap being in place, and also they're fighting the co-located schools. Now, and this is another selling point with the co-located schools, is that a lot of co-located schools are taking on what Success Academy is doing. They're seeing the model that we have in place. And all of a sudden, you see the classrooms are starting to look alike. The kids are dressing alike. They're actually learning from the presence of the model. And then all of a sudden, when you walk in, you hear the co-location school volume level, like, oh, those kids are noisy. You go upstairs to Success, it's quiet. All of a sudden, a year later, 2 years later, they've been molded, seeing that what you can do with the funding, and they started implementing what they've seen happen. So there is a plus with co-location, because
co-location, you're supposed to share, right?
Yes, that's what's
Charters are
happening.
built to share. We're supposed to share what we learn and what we're so we have programs and we set up and we do share whatever we're doing. Come on upstairs, learn what we're doing. Oh, guess what? We have money. Maybe we can buy the cafeteria tables. We'll buy the cafeteria tables, and everybody can benefit from that. So there's a benefit to co-locations. And guess what? We are only, as charters, 10% of the co-locations. All the other 90% is district on district. So why are you fighting the model of schools in the city? Because of Bloomberg, how he broke the schools down, that wasn't us. So we're just we're a part of the system that was built. If you don't like co-locations, then you need to obliterate them totally and across the board for everybody, and not just single us out for co-locations.
Natasha,
everybody's co-located.
On the political front, that's the jargon this year. And I just attended one of the meetings where for the run for borough presidents for Brooklyn, a lot of the candidates were saying that they didn't like co-location. We have another candidate that's right here in Bushwick, Sandy Nurse. She also got up on one of the panels and was like, she doesn't approve of co-location. And again, one common parent and me, the Success parent, told her, no, we had to go and hit them back with some of the facts and figures. So this is a new thing now.
It ain't new, honey. It ain't new. It's an old thing that they keep using over and over again.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, a bill. They're going to bring that back. I forgot. Somebody told me that somebody is going to try to put a bill out or do something to try to stop the co-locations of our schools. And also, you notice the DOE hasn't been giving us a lot of space lately.
Just to let you know, the main issue with co-location, and I'm going to say it, is unionizing. The unions, because we are non-union schools, there's issues with the superintendents being in the building versus security. They're having issues with that. How can a non-union school be in a union building? So to co-locate, they're split down the middle now. So for instance, the issue of Bloomberg not letting charter schools back in the building is because the teachers aren't unionized. So you have a non-union platform versus a union platform. The co-location, that's all that's really the issue is. The unions, I'm not going to say the name of the union, the unions are fighting and trying to displace charter schools because we're utilizing space that the Board of Education should have been utilizing, but did not. And that's why Bloomberg gave us the space, because when you heat a building, you don't heat just 3 floors, you heat the whole building, right? So why not give students give an institution the other floors to be used? It's being used anyway.
It's
The lights
wasted
still
space.
on anyway. So that's the issue that we were having with the new mayor.
And a lot of people say too, it looks like the haves and the have-nots, because we come in and we make the space look nice and pretty, and you guys have all this new looking stuff. Well, because it was dilapidated. We came in, and guess what? We had to renovate, and we had to paint, because it was sitting there for years not being used. So guess what? And guess what? If you get $4,000 and above on any project that comes into the building, the whole school gets the same amount of money. So if I get $4,000 and up, you get $4,000. Every school in that building, the DOE has to get $4,000, and they take that money and they do whatever with that money. So it benefits you to it. What is it? Doesn't that they say is your homeowner, right? It increases your property value, right? If you have things, people coming in, that's going to increase your property value, right? You have kids that are coming in and they look nice. They have on their nice uniforms. Their building is nice. You know, if you're around people that have nice stuff, you're going to want to fix up your stuff too, right? So it just makes everything better when you bring things in different and that may look different. You want to see what's going on over there, you know. And guess what? Competition breeds what? When you have that competition, that makes you want to work harder, right? That takes the complacency out of your life. If you don't have any competition, then what do you have to strive for? You could just keep doing what you're doing. And guess what? Charter schools would never have to exist if district schools were doing what they were supposed to do. They wouldn't need us here. We wouldn't exist, because we would just go to the school down the street. Because guess what? The kids can read down the street. They could do math. They're graduating. They're going to high school. They're going to college. Charter schools came because district schools weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And our parents and people came and they wanted better options. And it's not just parents. There were teachers that have started charter schools. There are different kinds of people that have started these schools. And now our kids are learning. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with taking private funds and making the school better? Guess what? The schools and other schools do that. It's called PTA money. Our kids don't deserve that. What do some people say are reparations? Money for school, right? Give us our reparations. Give us our money. Why don't we deserve it? Why are we even having this conversation? Our kids don't deserve money. They don't deserve a good education. Every kid deserves that. And what can we do to make sure every kid has that? And you can't take away from my kid that's doing good to make another school better. Let's all get good together. Let's all be great. Can we all just be great and get along, right? And strive for excellence? Because we're not here to rob Peter to pay Paul. Everybody deserves equity and fairness. And so you just got to find ways to deliver the message and block and counter block, you know, all the things that they say. And not bash charter school and not bash district schools, but sometimes you have to say what it is too, because these elected officials that have been in office, these schools that are bad in our neighborhoods, y'all, they've been bad for decades and generations. And some of these people have been in office for generations, and they haven't fixed the schools yet, way before we even came. So what are they doing to fix the schools? Because it's not us. How can we work together to fix the schools? Because we want everybody to be great and better, right? But as parents, we just found a way to get our kids into something that works for them. So why should you penalize those kids? It's the same kids. I live in your neighborhood. I'm the same parent. Matter of fact, I have a kid in DOE and I have a kid in charter. I can't pick, like asking me to pick a favorite. I love both my kids. I want both my kids to have the same thing. Don't you want all your constituents to have great schools? You're gonna penalize me because I have sending my kid to a good school? You're not gonna support the good school in your neighborhood? That doesn't make sense to me.
I want to say something too. What to the politician, Danielle, the bad politician. One of the options is that the reason why I did not send my child to my school, my local schools, because it was a failing grade on the school. So identifying the DOE schools that have failing grades. So when your politician says, "Well, why I support the DOE schools," so, well, sir, can you please point me in the direction of a successful DOE school
in your district?
In my district, say, because I would have loved to send my child to a very good school, but I couldn't find any that accommodated what I needed for my child. That's why charter schools was an option. So how you word things when you're talking to the politicians, like we know if you word it properly, you don't have to be condescending, but right. The option, I didn't have any options besides charter school for my child. That's why I went in that direction, because right. I'll even tell you the area. I'm at Piers 44. My school has a lot of transients in it because of the shelters in my neighborhood. The principal was not accessible. The structure of my school was not accessible. There was no occupational therapy. Nothing was in place. So it was either didn't send my child to District 75, which he is not going to District 75. All right, that was not an option. It wasn't a starter. He's not a bad kid. He just had issues with textile. My child has a mild case of autism. So these are selling points when you're having these conversations. You don't necessarily have to jump off a cliff, but if you can stay focused to why you made the decision to go to a charter school and the pros and cons of sending them to a district school or a charter, then that actually wins over, because you can say, this is why I made that decision. Not because I disliked the school that was local.
This was the best option.
Right. Do you want bad chicken or you want good chicken? I didn't want a bad piece of chicken. Okay. I didn't want stale bread. I wanted good bread. So I sent my child to a school that I felt that would be conducive to his educational learning. So that's just a selling point.
Right.
Something that wasn't mentioned, Natasha, something that wasn't mentioned with the supposed like bad politician. Sometimes it's good to find out why they feel this way, right? So like let them spill their story. And before you even explain your selling points, find out where they got the information from, find out why they're doing it. Because a lot of times people just don't know. And Natasha hit on the best point ever tonight, was that a lot of the politicians this is like a career path that they had started from way back when, like their parents was politicians. So they, went into that field. So they have a lot of views that are based off of like their families and their old ways. And it's a lot of, I'm gonna just be blunt, it's a lot of older white men that are politicians. It's coming to a different time where we're seeing more people of color take political stance, but it's a lot of old school ways that they're doing things, and they just don't understand why we send our kids to charter school. But I always like to ask the question, well, why do you feel like that? Like, or where did you get the information from? Share the data with me, because if there's something that is like legit data or something I can read from, I want to see it, because somebody needs to stop, spreading bad news, so to speak. So I always do that. I do that right here locally in the city that I live. And one of the, actually the deputy mayor, now when she deals with me or she deals with a parent that is asking about a charter school or asking about Troy Prep, she'll tag me on Facebook. Hey, Deborah, there's this person that wanted to know about the charter school, because I drill it in her head, because my thing is, if you're going to give it to the school too, which is my local school, then you need to give it to Troy Prep, because they're only a block radius. And a lot of times parents will send their kids. You may have cousins that live in the same household where one parent goes to school too and one parent goes to Troy Prep, and they're only in the block, a difference in the block. They probably, sometimes these kids may even be at the same school bus stop. So they're still dealing with each other. Ride on the same bus. So I always like to bring that up, because it's important to understand where they're getting information from.
So find out their why, right, and get their where they
What
get
is signing up for
facts
insurance?
from. Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
So find out their why and get their facts, like where they're getting this information from. Find out their why, and I think a lot of times don't, like you said, there's a big shift now. It's like just because people, like a lot of white politicians support charter schools, actually Republicans and white people are really behind and support charter schools more so than the black people and Latin politicians that are serving their kids. Like these are kids that look like them, and so it's really like and sometimes it's a party thing. So Republicans are more apt to support charter schools versus Democrats. And a lot, like you said, Wayne, is a lot of it is based on unions because they like unions and unions support them. So a lot of it is they're not going to tell you this. They are supporting who supports them and who funds their campaigns. So you got to remember that too.
Now that you said that, and I'm gonna call them out. I don't care if anybody's recorded. Michael Blake, he's a politician here in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. Do you know how hard it was to chase down that man, that black brother? And he's from the hood. He's from Washington Avenue. I know where his mom lived. I know the whole neighborhood. It was so hard to chase this man down. But I could talk to Spavada. I could talk to any the other politicians. He was the most evasive. He actually frequented my business. I helped put out his flyers. He did some campaigning. We helped out.
He wouldn't meet with you.
He met. I mean, he couldn't. I know. I can find him.
I'm gonna put my headphones.
Find him at the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? We're finding him. But as for him supporting charter schools, he would never make a commitment. How we broke him down and other politicians is that, and this is the thing that you would have to learn if you ever go to Albany. A lot of them are on the same panels of certain, like black, they have like a Latino, black caucus, mm-hmm. and they're all a part of this large, let's say, sorority. Mm-hmm. You have to find out who the strongest person in that sorority is, and mm-hmm. you break him down. The other ones will fall in place, but you have to chip away. They keep chipping away. Mm-hmm. Finally, he came around, but only because the head of that particular group decided, okay, it's now conducive for me politically to join your movement. And I'm going to give these last numbers because I'm going to have to get off and I have another meeting I have to take. For every person, just hypothetical, for every person that shows up at an assemblyman's or politician's location, let's say that represents 100 people, okay? Now you show up, I have a problem. Whatever. 2 people show up, I have a problem. So 2 people show up, that's equivalent to 200 people because they're looking at percentages of the area that you live in. If 15 people shows up at a politician's office complaining or having an issue, that's no longer one person. You're looking at 1,500 people. So the more people you have addressing an issue, they're looking at you as a percentage point. Now, this is not about chart. This is just about where their attention is focused.
It's votes.
Right. It's bingo. It is
votes. But you have to also realize too, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to say this because it would be not me if I didn't. I was elected official in my area. I was a city council, and it is extremely hard. And I'm not making no excuse for anybody that's Black, Hispanic, Black and brown. You know, I'm not making no excuse for them, but I'm gonna tell you this: it's extremely hard if you're in a area that is not diverse and you're the only person of color trying to fight an uphill battle. Is extremely hard. So, and I'm not making excuses. I don't know the guy that you were speaking of, but what I will say is this: I don't know if he was running with that particular crew because he needed that backbone. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like it may look like he don't want to vote. You know, he want to disagree with what you're saying until you get him by himself and then break it down, because it's extremely hard when you're a person of color sitting in an official seat. You're on one hand, you're trying to make sure you keep your people, say the right things to make sure people understand where your community is coming from. But at the same time, you're trying to understand also, this is a new playing field. I was the only person of color in the whole Rensselaer County. Everybody. I was the only person of color and I was the only female. Everybody was white male, most of them. And if I come off too aggressive, I'm being, I'm that angry Black female, you know what I mean? And I'm just passionate about where I live at. Why is it that, this is happening? Why is it dull, the light seem bright over here in this area, but down the block it is? So I wanted to say that because I wanted to make sure that when you do get a politician that is Black or Hispanic, we got to come at them, talk to them like you talk to them in the streets. Because I do. Listen,
Oh, no, I do. I definitely do.
You gotta meet them on that level so they can get a reality check. Like, dude, I know you from Washington Heights. I know where you from. You know what I mean? And then it kind of be like, oh,
we're one. We're one and the same, and it's our people. You're talking about. That could be your nephew, your son. We're the same. We're the same people, and we are here fighting over the great education for our kids. It shouldn't be a fight. It shouldn't be a question. It should be, how can we get more that's going on in our neighborhood?
If you keep the focus at children, like I always, when they start getting too political, I keep the focus right back to the kids. I said, listen, how can we benefit our children? I said, I don't care about your unions. I don't care about the DOE. I don't care about the charter school. What can we do to educate our children? If this is the best way to get this done, then we need to make it happen. You tell me what you need from me as a parent to educate my child. What do you think is best? When you start throwing things back at them that way, they have to now say, oh man, yes, it's not about what you believe in. It's about educating our children that have not been educated. Okay. And that's the most important thing. My son's been reading. Well, he's been reading before he even got to school, but he's at level Z. He's been at Z for the last 2 years. He's in 7th grade. He's like, I don't have to do a book report. I'm at level Z. No, do a book report. But he's where he needs to be on his reading level. He would not have been there, probably with me as a parent. That's a whole different story. Parenting has a lot to do with it. We're not going to go there. But he probably would have been reading whereas, but it would have been so much harder dealing with the DOE situation and getting him where he needs to be now. So I said, ladies and gentlemen, I can't say.
Thank you, Wayne. You have to go for another meeting. Does anybody else have anything to add? Just I think a lot of good, important points were shared today. But I think, bringing it back to our kids and what our kids deserve.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the most important thing. Humanize our kids. Our kids are not political pawns. They're people that they gotta get their education. We got ours. They got theirs. Our babies gotta get they gotta get their education, and it's like, anybody have anything else to add that could be beneficial to share, that we may have missed, because you guys are dropping so many nice jewels on us. I want to, Shadeja, you have your hand raised. Go ahead, baby. Unmute yourself and please speak to us.
Natasha, you done renamed me 3 different times in 2 seconds.
I know, Shadeja. I said it right the first time, right? Then I messed it up 1,000 times. I'm sorry, baby.
No, it's okay. I've just been listening to everybody and what they had to say because I'm from the city. I used to live in the city and I moved upstate about 3 years ago. I was a sub-para for the DOE and I've worked in D75. So I'm just taking in everything because one of the schools that I worked in 256 on Macon, right in Bed-Stuy. And that school was half charter school.
Our school is in there.
And see, look.
Yeah.
And I seen the difference. So it was one of those things where it's like I guess it was like in the very beginning when charter schools first got in there is when I was working in there. And I was like, I don't agree with, how they treating the kids. And I'm like, that just was my standpoint on it. But then I'm like, that was my only experience. Then I moved and like I said, I have 4 little cousins in a charter school. I have nieces and nephews that go to a charter school. And I realized everybody's charter school models are different. So me going to Troy Prep for different events and everything like that, I'm like, okay, I can see myself, having a child in a charter school because I'm a DOE kid. I grew up in Brownsville. I went to school in East New York. So it's like my whole education.
I live in East New York. Ooh, we got to talk.
My whole education has been, DOE, but it's like I'm not opposed to anything because it's like you said, it's the child. I've dealt with kids where their IEPs were completely wrong. And I'm like, it's a blessing that you have parents like you guys on the calls advocating for it, because I come into contact with parents a lot of times that, they get overlooked because they don't speak English and their kids' IEPs are wrong and they have nobody that's going to stand up and speak for them. So like when Sabrina said, like, I'm the voice for everybody, even if the people that I don't say, they need that. So like thank you for inviting me to the school, because it's been a blessing to hear everybody's point of views and just the back and forth, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I experienced that. I'm not a parent to that extent, but I'm like, I've experienced that. And my little cousins with the IEP, I've seen his growth from when he first got into Troy Prep until now. And they be teaching me. So it's like, the more these kids learn, the more you learn from them. And you understand, like, I can't stop. I have to be that advocate, whether it's a parent standpoint or education standpoint, I have to be advocate for these children. So that's why it's like, for me, I try my hardest to advocate on both ends of it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this call helps so much because it gives me a different light from what I was used to or what I was even exposed to in the very beginning. Because things have changed over the years. It's not the same how it was in the beginning when it was just trial and error.
Right.
Well,
but
listen,
I appreciate you all for what you do.
This is what I'm fighting for right here. You see this big kid?
Yeah, look at that, that smile. Look at that smile. Hi, baby.
This
How
is what
you
I'm
doing,
fighting
buddy?
for.
And he's worth fighting for.
Yeah, my leg is numb. Get off.
Anybody else want to share? Anybody else? Diamond. Hi, Diamond. Where are you from, Diamond? Where's your child go to school?
She goes to Success Academy, Harlem 1.
All right. We got Success is strong in the house. Success is strong in the house.
SA?
Yeah. All right. Nelly, anything else you want to share?
Always fight for your right, guys. Our kids deserve better and deserve the same quality and rights all the time. Always fight for it. We're here just to give the same education that we had and much better.
Sarah, you came on towards the end. Sarah? Talk to us, Sarah.
Hi there.
Hi, Sarah. Where does your child go to school?
Success Academy. I have one child at Williamsburg and one at Lafayette. So and I'm at the same school as Laverne.
Great.
We're on the PCEC together.
All
He's
right.
the vice president. Yeah.
All right, Success.
No.
Anybody else want to add anything? I mean, there's so much like
I have a question.
Yes.
Especially with the pandemic happening and us fighting for our kids, which is important and pivotal. Does the charter school have something for the parents like this at this level? Because honestly, for me, charter schools have a different workload, which I appreciate because I know my kid is getting properly educated. Adding COVID to this situation, I feel like the parent support is now a need because we're fighting for the school. We're fighting with making sure our kids are keeping up with the whole change of environment, and the parents are stressed. So
something like as far as what do you mean, like resources to help us with?
Well, yeah, kind of like at the charter level. Is there something? Because honestly, with all the changes happening, I know I'm a fighter, but I know I'm not every parent. You know what I mean? Every parent has a different experience. Some are right now experiencing loss. Some are right now experiencing different hardships. So they still want to educate their kid, but maybe they're spent. So I was wondering, is there something for the parents in terms of support for encouragement as they continue their path as a charter school parent?
It's called Jack Daniels.
You know what? I kind of like that as.
Or chocolate cake.
Diamond, sorry, Sabrina, go ahead.
Success does have, well, on my school's page, they have the essay, we have the essay, the essay app now. So they actually have a resource guide to for families. I could pull it up on my phone real quickly, but they do have it. But I think also to your point, this is something that I had to ask my school about. I'm like, where is the conversation happening with parents? Like, where are the like the check-ins with the parents? Yes, you could say, okay, yeah, we got these Chromebooks, we got this, we got that. What about these kindergarten parents? You know how I had to speak on behalf of the kindergarten parents. I said, there's absolutely no way these parents are okay. Absolutely not. Surely not. I said, because we came in and we got it together. But they're coming in a pandemic that they don't even know what the protocols and things are. Lord, please help them. And this is something that I kind of went to my school with so quickly, just to say, yes, there are resources. But I think also to play on your school, ask them for
Ask them
support and
for it.
resources. They have
Mhm.
social workers who are there both for parents as well as for the students. They gave us resources on they give it to us in an action update every Friday. They give it to us towards the bottom. They have given it to us. But these are things that you talk to your parent council about and just say, hey, we need parent check-ins. That's something that I said many a time. We need parent check-ins because we don't know how the helpers who are helping are doing. You can't say
Right. Exactly.
You
That's
don't.
have
key.
to also advocate for yourself. So this is like
Yes.
an advocacy group, right? And you have not because you ask not. So
I will speak.
sometimes it's just a simple thing of just going to your school and saying, hey, what resources do you guys have for this, that, and the other? Or like she said, go to parent council and have conversations with parent council and ask them to help you get those resources that you need.
Oh, that's
Now
exactly. I'm sorry.
I'm the president for Success Academy in the middle school. Um, I have two beautiful black women who actually do everything, and I'm just a talking piece, as you know, as you noticed. What we did was I'm a person who shakes hands in the morning. I used to always be out there, like for the last, like I've been on the parent council for the last 5 years, and a lot of the students that came over from our old from regular school to middle school, I know them, and I know someone's from Success Academy 4 because I'm actually a parent advocate. I actually go to meetings with parents with IEPs. So I actually am a person who likes shaking hands, knowing every parent. Who I want to know the parents of the kids that are around my kid. You understand? So I'm one of them guys every morning. Good morning. What's going on? What's popping? What happened this weekend? So the staff that the parent council that we have, they actually go out and talk to parents. We actually text each other. We have a website where they can email us directly. Any resources that they may need in our school goes through our board. We forced, because charter schools, the PTA equivalent is not what the PTA is on DOE schools, okay?
Mhm.
We don't have as much power as the DOE schools. But because I've been advocating for so long, I have a little bit more flexibility because I do go to Albany and I do speak. But it's up to you as parents to say, I need help. Okay. You have to go in and say, listen, I don't understand. I'm stressed. What can you do for me? If you don't speak up, if you don't speak up and tell the school what you need, they won't give it to you. Go to your parent council. And if the parent council is not there to assist you, then you go to the principal, assistant principal, vice principal. You might have to go to the network. But you have to speak up as a parent for the resources that you need. And if you don't, of course, and unfortunately, and one more thing, and I do have to go. Most of the people who run your schools are kids right out of college. They don't have children. They don't know what you go through. So whatever rules and things that they're putting in place, they're doing it as a system of optimizing their workflow.
Mhm.
Personable interactions is not on their list. Okay.
Right.
Optimizing for their time is. Okay. So you have to, as a parent, say, listen, I need to know what's going on. So our parent council, we actually do that for a lot of the parents. If you have any questions and you're not getting answers, come to us. I know Ava Markowitz personally. Like I can pretty much call her if it comes down to, which I don't. I haven't spoken to her about a year. But if it ever came down to it was a situation that actually needed to be forwarded, I can call the network and they're very responsive. And how you ask for what you need is also how you get what you need. We can't go in there on a bad hair day or you ain't feeling so hot, you go in there with your mouth flipping because you know it's going to happen. Angry black man. Listen, I'm a big dude. I'm a 6 foot, 250 pound. I can't be standing over nobody asking for nothing, you know, because they're gonna be like 911. He's at the door. So I have to go in a little bit more politically aware of what I'm saying and what I'm asking for. So if you need anything from your school, do not hesitate to call up to your school and say, I need help. I need a couple of dollars for shirts. They have the vouchers.
Oh,
you can
y'all.
actually.
I'm sorry. It's 8 o'clock. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's 7:55.
All right. But listen, guys.
I'm sorry, y'all. Closed mouth don't get fed. Speak up. Speak. Ask for what you need, and follow all your channels. Your parent advocates, right? So you know how to advocate for the things that you need, and keep going up, and don't stop until you get everything and anything that you need for your babies, because they need us to
I just wanted to say
final message, please.
Oh yeah, guys, I'm sorry. There are more boot camps that are coming up.
Please
right?
sign up. I put here the link in the chat. Please sign up and check who is your representative, and then tell us who's your representative, because then we are going to prioritize meetings with them. If you don't tell us, you can tell on Facebook. Just put a comment there. Sabrina did today, Natasha did today, Ashara did today. So just go there, put who is your representative, and please invite other charter parents for these meetings, for this training, so we can get more people ready for January. I'm going to put here the link where you can put your home address, and then you can find who is your representative. This link is just for New York City, but I think we only have New York City people here. So check who is your New York State Senator, your assembly person in Albany, put on Facebook, or please fill out this form here so we can connect you with your elected official. Thank you.
And sign up for the classes. This is when they are. I'm sorry. This is when they are. Do you have the contact information for everybody on this call, Daniela?
Yes, I already checked everybody. Either
do
is
you
on
have
our
mine?
so you are on the Facebook group, right? No. Oh
No, I invited her.
Oh,
I invited her.
Please, everybody, put your email address real quick in the chat, because Daniela can then forward you this information on how to find your elected, and she can forward you the link so you can sign up for more.
It says that the chat is disabled.
Mm-hmm. The chat's disabled.
That is disabled. I'm
Yeah.
putting
It says disabled.
Hold on, I'm gonna stop sharing this now.
Can you guys see my messages?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see
your
it.
message, but we
Okay.
can't.
Okay. So here's the link for our Facebook group. Diamond, please join. I think everybody else is on the group already. If not, please join, and then check your who is your elected official, and then tell us who they are so we can prioritize meetings with them.
Daniela, a quick suggestion, maybe for especially when we have new people going forward, can you get like an attendance list so that way you can get their email and stuff automatically, and then that way we could kind of go back, well, not we, but you know what I mean, go back.
You know what you can do too? You can set up a registration so that when they come in, they have to put their email and stuff in. So set that up so when you do it, they have to put all their contact information before they can come into the meeting.
Yes.
And then that way you have it.
And this was great.
Thank you guys for
Thank you so
joining
much for
us.
having me. I'm actually the PCE president at Harlem One, and I was asking because I'm advocating for the parents as well. So I want to see what resources I can provide them.
I can share resources with you too. So,
Hey, Diamond, if you want, reach out to me at Bronx Middle School 3, and I can have my board give you the resources that we also have.
The thing to me, Diamond, I have I'm not at the same school as you guys, but I do have, when the pandemic started, I started a Facebook parent group page. It's called Parents Encouragement and Engagement. It's just more or less like some mornings when you wake up and you just like having one of those mornings, you can have something nice to read. People share like information that's going on.
Can you post the Facebook group?
I'll share it in our Facebook group.
Okay. And Wayne, you're in the Facebook group too, right?
I guess I'm gonna have to be. I'm gonna have to find y'all.
Go to their Facebook link. Click on that Facebook link, y'all, and join the New York State Charter School Parent Council.
All right, I'll do it right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay on so y'all can click on that link and join the group.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you
All
guys.
right.
Good night. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks,
I'm
Laverne.
gonna stay
Thanks,
on so you
Natasha.
guys can
Good night.
click on
Bye.
the link.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you
night.
guys. Have a good night.